Hi, I'm Lisa. If you're already an advanced speaker of English, but you still sometimes feel insecure about your English, then this channel is for you. My goal is to make you feel confident about your English, not only understanding native speakers, but being able to speak like one as well. In my opinion, the best way to do that is to listen to native speakers and analyze the way they talk. And this is why I like to film conversations that I have with native speakers. I like to meet interesting people in Los Angeles, people that I think you might enjoy meeting as well. In this video, we will listen to a native speaker. We will analyze her pronunciation and some advanced grammar that she's using. And of course, we will pay attention to the expressions that she's using. This is part 2 of my conversation with Megan. She uses so many different expressions that I really want to teach you. They're expressions that native speakers use all the time. Do you know the expression, "you can't beat it"? Megan used that expression.
The weather you can't beat.
A non-native speaker might say, "Los Angeles has the best weather." But a native speaker might say, "You can't beat LA weather." You can't beat it. She also used the expression "going on."
I've been in LA going on 4 years.
And that expression has 3 different meanings in English, and I will teach you all of those meanings. For example, a non-native speaker might say, "I've been working here for almost 4 years." But a native speaker might say, "I've been working here going on 4 years." Maybe you remember my conversation with John, who lives on a boat. He also used the expression "going on."
And how long have you lived in the boat?
Going on 6 years.
Let's continue listening to my conversation with Megan. In the last video, she talked about what it's like working at Spago, which is one of the most popular and one of the best restaurants in Los Angeles. It's located in Beverly Hills, and there are many movie stars that come to the restaurant, and she talked about that. In this part of my conversation with Megan, she talks about where she's originally from, which part of the United States she came from, and what she thinks of Los Angeles. Okay, let's watch the first part, and then I will come back and I will teach you the expressions and the pronunciation, and we will talk about some English grammar.
So where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from Mattawan, Michigan, which is a teeny tiny little town. Very small, very rural. It's so rural that we literally had a cow farm right across the street from my high school.
Really?
Yes.
Do you know how to take care of cows?
Yeah, kind of. And I grew up with horses, so they're essentially the same.
Did you ride horses?
I did. My mom rode horses growing up as a little girl, and so she kind of passed that love of horses along to me. Yeah, I grew up around horses. I was, riding practically the same time I could walk, so.
Tell me about life in Los Angeles. How is it different from life in a small rural city in Michigan?
It is so different here in LA. It's just busier. I feel like everyone here is much more driven in a sense, like creatively. There's just so much creation that's happening in this city.
A lot of creative energy.
Yeah, whether it's music or film or just, other side projects, technology and things like that. There's so much going on here, which I love. It is nice to kind of slow down. I love visiting home. I love visiting Michigan. I get to slow down, and that different pace of life is kind of refreshing sometimes. But as a place to kind of make my way, I love living here. I do miss the community feel, or like the neighborhood feel. I come from a town where, everyone knows your name. You can hardly get away with anything. So everyone knows who you are, what car you drive. Everyone knows all of that basic information about you. So it's hard to get away with anything.
Funny. And how long have you been in Los Angeles?
I've been in LA going on 4 years.
How do you like it?
I love it. There's always interesting people to meet. There are just so many things to do. I mean, the weather you can't beat. It's been nice.
Megan said that she's from Michigan. Let's listen to the way she pronounced Michigan.
So I'm originally from Mattawan, Michigan.
Michigan has a CH, but you notice she didn't say ch. She didn't say Michigan. Make sure you say Michigan. This is an exception. Once in a while, but not often, the CH is pronounced like an SH. It's pronounced like sh in English. It doesn't happen very often though. Most of the time, it's with words that have a French origin. For example, the word chef. We don't say chef, we say chef. Some other words are chandelier, champagne, and the car company Chevrolet. Listen to the way Megan said teeny tiny.
So I'm originally from Mattawan, Michigan, which is a teeny tiny little town. Very small, very rural.
Megan said that she comes from a teeny tiny town in Michigan. Maybe you know that tiny means very small. So if we say teeny tiny, we really want to emphasize that it's very, very small. You can say, I adopted my cat when he was a teeny tiny kitten. Or you can say, your writing is excellent, but I found a teeny tiny mistake. Let's listen to the way some other people used teeny tiny.
Just like a teeny tiny seed.
Let me start with this one here, which is a tiny one, a teeny tiny one.
And by the way, I found out that Megan's town, Mattawan, Michigan, is indeed teeny tiny. It has a population of 2,333 people. That is really small, isn't it? Do you live in a town that's even smaller than that? If you do, let me know in the comments. In one sentence, Megan used two words that are really difficult to pronounce for many of my students. Let's listen.
It's so rural that we literally had a cow farm right across the street from my high school.
Really?
Yes.
This word is so hard to say because it's got two R's and an L. The A is reduced. And the two R's sometimes sound like only one R. Some people say it like this, rural. Let's say it the slower way first. Rural, rural. I live in a rural area. Rural. Very hard to say, isn't it? Now let's say it more quickly because some native speakers say it like this. Rural, rural. And that L is very soft. It's a dark L. So we don't say rural, we say rural. Rural. And this word is also difficult to pronounce. Literally, literally. Again, let's reduce the A, and the T becomes a fast D, or some people call it a flat T. Literally, literally. Make sure the letter I is a relaxed sound. It's not li, it's li, literally. Let's listen to Megan again saying both of those words together.
It's so rural that we literally had a cow farm right across the street from my high school.
Really?
Yes.
And now I will say it more slowly so that you can listen carefully and then repeat after me. It's so rural that we literally had a cow farm right across the street from my high school. Listen to me again. It's so rural that we literally had a cow farm right across the street from my high school. In case you don't know what the word rural means, it means in the countryside, in a place where there are not many people, not in a city. It can be a farm or a forest, for example. This is a rural area. Let's listen to the way Megan used the expression passed along.
My mom rode horses growing up as a little girl, and so she kind of passed that love of horses along to me.
Megan said that her mother passed the love of horses along to her. To pass along means to give, and often it means to give from one person to another, to transmit. You can say, please pass the information along to them. Or you can use it like this. Our company saved money on manufacturing costs, so we plan to pass along the savings to our customers. I'm sure you know the word practical, but Megan said practically, which has a different meaning from the word practical. Let's listen.
Yeah, I grew up around horses. I was, riding practically the same time I could walk, so.
Megan said that she was riding horses practically the same time that she learned how to walk. She was really small. Practically means almost, virtually. You can say, that store near my house sells practically everything I need. You can say, I've watched practically every video on her YouTube channel. And if you watch practically every video on my YouTube channel, your English will improve a lot and you will sound practically like a native speaker. My viewers are generally advanced speakers of English, so they usually know the expression, he is driven or she is driven. But I also have intermediate people watching, so just in case, let me teach you. Let's listen to the way Megan used it.
I feel like everyone here is much more driven in a sense, like creatively.
Megan said that she feels like everyone in Los Angeles is driven, especially creatively. And driven means hardworking and ambitious. You can say he's very driven or he's not very driven. And because you're watching this video, I know that you are driven to improve your English. The next expression is a side project. Let's listen to Megan.
Whether it's music or film or just, other side projects, technology and things like that.
Megan said that because people in Los Angeles are so driven, they often have side projects. A side project is a second job in addition to your main job. Something else that you are doing, and usually it's something creative, but not necessarily. You can say, I have a side job, or I do that on the side. I hope that my side project becomes my full-time job one day. Let's listen to the way Megan used going on. And remember what I said, going on has 3 different meanings.
There's so much going on here, which I love.
Megan said, there's so much going on here in Los Angeles. And going on in this case means happening. There's a lot of activity. You can say, I've got so much going on. And that means I'm so busy, my life is so full. I've got so much going on. You need to slow down. You've got so much going on in your life right now. So if you say what's going on, it means what's happening. But the second meaning of what's going on means how are you? People use it just to say how are you. Remember, this one is really casual, so don't say this to your boss, for example. So you can say to your friend, what's going on? And generally the answer is not much, not much. It's a casual way to say how are you. And I will teach you the third meaning in just a minute because Megan uses it in the third way as well. And Megan said the pace of life. Do you remember in the previous video I taught you the meaning of pace?
I get to slow down, and that different pace of life is kind of refreshing sometimes.
Megan says that she enjoys going to Michigan sometimes because there's a different pace of life and she gets to slow down. And the pace of life is the speed of life. And you can say the pace of life is much slower in rural areas. The next expression is really common. I want to make sure you know how to use it. To get away with it or to get away with something. Let's listen to Megan.
You can hardly get away with anything. Everyone knows who you are, what car you drive. Everyone knows all of that basic information about you. So it's hard to get away with
That's fun. Megan said that in her little town, Mattawan, Michigan, it's very difficult to get away with anything because everyone knows who you are and what car you drive. Everyone knows everything about you, so it's hard to get away with anything. If you get away with something, it means you do something wrong or you do something risky, but nobody catches you, nobody finds out about it. Or you don't suffer any punishment or any consequences because of what you did. And this expression, to get away with it, can be used for something innocent that children do or for something very serious that maybe a criminal does. You can use it this way. The child has been behaving very badly and he's been getting away with it for a long time. And that means his parents didn't punish him, or maybe his parents didn't catch him doing it. You took your father's car without him knowing about it? How did you get away with it? Or for something more serious, you can say he got away with murder. He killed somebody, but he never got punished. He didn't go to jail. He got away with it. Let's listen to the third example of going on. Listen to the way Megan used it.
I've been in LA going on 4 years.
Megan said, I've been in LA going on 4 years. And that means nearly, almost, approaching 4 years. You can also use it like this. How old is your son? He's going on 12. He's almost 12. I'd like to explain to you a grammar point that many of my students ask me about. Megan used there is and there are both for plural nouns. Let's listen and then I'll talk about that.
There's always interesting people to meet. There are just so many things to do.
Megan said, there's always interesting people to meet. There are so many things to do. So she used there is for people, but she used there are for things. Why is that? Some of you watching, depending on your native language, might think that people is singular, and that's why she used there is with people. Be careful about that. If your native language is Spanish or Portuguese, for example, people is considered a non-countable noun. It's considered a group noun. In Spanish, you would say la gente es. You would say it in singular, la gente es. Don't say the people is, it's the people are. But then why did Megan say there is with people? Because very often, especially in casual speech, people use there is instead of there are with plural nouns. It's fairly common, and it doesn't necessarily mean that their grammar isn't good. It's just a more casual way to say it. Let's listen to some examples that I found where people use there is for plural nouns.
And there's animals to play with.
There's a lot of things going on in the film.
Especially when there's children.
Let's go on to the next expression, and this one is also really common. Can't beat. And we usually say you can't beat it.
I mean, the weather you can't beat.
Megan said the weather you can't beat, and that means it's the best. You can't find anything better. You can't beat it. Let's listen to the way some other people used it.
Sights, the smells, you can't beat it.
But I love the color selection and the price point. You can't beat it.
Make sure you watch part 3 of my conversation with Megan. There were so many wonderful expressions and so many things that I wanted to teach you from my conversation with Megan that I needed to make 3 different videos. And the next one is going to be the most interesting one, in my opinion. I was asking Megan about the celebrities that come to the restaurant, and I wanted to know, do they need to make reservations? It's a very popular restaurant, and they're booked in advance. But I really wanted to know, what happens if someone like Tom Cruise calls and they want to have dinner that night? Will they be able to get a table the same evening? Make sure you watch my next video to find out. I will teach you a lot of useful expressions in that video. Meanwhile, I'd like you to practice the idioms that I taught you. Make your own sentences and make sure you say them out loud. Thanks for watching and keep practicing your English. To get the 2 courses, the American Accent course and the 400 advanced words you must know for fluent English, go to accurateenglish.com.